Health is a very personal responsibility. It's not your medical aid, it's not your doctor even, or your hospital, or anybody, but we are responsible for looking after our bodies, mental and physical. Okay, we have to decide on what we mean by health. I know that the World Health Organization has a very simple, almost simple in the Afrikaans sense, definition where it says health is the mental, physical, and spiritual well being. Well, that's as big as a barn door. But I think we all know when we feel healthy, and we all know when we feel sick. We don't have to rewrite the definition or anything like that, but I think if we have vitality, performance, and joy of life, we are probably healthy. That's not to say there can't be something inside us that we're not aware of, but more about that later. Another point that I just want to make at the beginning is we are spending so much money on healthcare and there are so many sick people. I'm actually quite amazed. This morning on German television, by the way, they had a report, and it was a government report, that Germany is, of the European countries, the country with the most unnecessary operations. It is, of course, a very well sorted out welfare system and insurance system. And of course, in many cases, the operations, the surgery is just a money making machine. But that may be a different story altogether. But there are many, many sick people. And Western nations spend the most money, have the best facilities, best medical training, and somehow they have the highest proportion of sick people. And if you then vector in the money they're spending on keeping people healthy, it is amazing. But there are a couple of basics when it comes to health. Good health is a precondition for most things in life. And remember, I'm saying all these things also in the context of BEMER. Uh, if we don't have good health, we can do nothing. You can't work properly, you can't enjoy life, you cannot make money to support your lifestyle. It's very difficult to live a full, joyful, meaningful, that's maybe not the right word, but uh, life where you can say, I can achieve things. You need your health. I'm sure you know what I mean. And besides our inherited genes, of course, our health is determined to a very large extent by our lifestyle. There's no doubt about it. We have to stop doing that, which can have negative effect or impact on our health. And in a book that I quoted last night as well, the China study by Dr. Colin Campbell, he says your health is determined by breakfast, lunch, and supper. The other factor that's very important is, of course, exercise and locomotion. Locomotion means that you are doing the moving, not your car. Stress management and so on are very fundamental things. Joy, contentment, and health are also connected. And it's not something that you get, but it's something you actually already have. You maybe temporarily have a setback, but your body is trying to get you back to health all the time. Your body is optimized for health and vitality. Sickness is an aberration. It's an unusual state for the body, and the body will always try to get you back to vitality, good performance, and health. Our ongoing state of health is highly dependent on the microcirculation and the micro blood vessels. The microcirculation of the blood is the most important physiological precondition to keep your cells alive and function properly. Maybe you don't understand the sentence. Let me put it another way. If we block an artery in your arm, it doesn't take long and your arm goes numb. And if we don't release that pressure, it'll fall off one day, not one day, in a couple of hours. It'll turn black. So the circulation is most important. And for reasons that I will give in a moment, the microcirculation is extremely important. And all critical life support really happens at cellular level. Your oxygen supply and your nutrients to the cells and the waste product removal from the cells. And in a way, the microcirculation is the highway of the body, and the blood is a carrier, but it's also a solvent and catalyst that keeps everything going. That's why water is so important as well. Yeah, Brenda, you will smile now. I know, water is very important. Doesn't mean to say it tastes good, but anyway. All organs and tissue, in other words, the thing that makes us, me and you, consists of roughly 100 million cells, which somehow, in a harmonious, integrated manner, look after all the chemistry of the body with amazing self-regulation. If you think of the hormone levels, the cholesterol levels, the blood pressure, the body temperature, the core temperature, all those things. But at cellular level, the building of proteins is the most important function. And that's a complex function, and it's got to work properly. And every illness has at its cause a group of poorly functioning cells. If you got diabetes, these poorly functioning cells sit in your pancreas. If you have arthritis, then these poorly functioning cells sit in your cartilage, in the knee or hip or wherever. Another fundamental point is that the state of the body's self-regulation and health optimization is an indication of the susceptibility to disease and the ability to correct and regenerate and heal. In other words, if the body is fully capable through its immune system and other factors that it can regulate itself properly, like it does when you are healthy, then it can also correct and regenerate and heal. That's what the body does. So if the oxygen and nutrients and the waste are exchanged at capillary level, and they migrate to and from the cells, they can produce ATP, and that ensures the functioning of the organ, and that in the bigger holistic picture of the whole body will give the body the ability to self-regulate all that has to be regulated. And the last one, and I'm almost done, to execute work of any nature always requires energy. That's a law of physics. And if the biological energy produced by the cell is somehow impaired, the cellular functions will get out of whack. If they get out of whack, it means the self-regulation is out of whack as well. And if we have sufficient number of malfunctioning cells in a specific organ, that will give rise to the symptoms of the illness. And some of you have seen these pictures before. A symptom is really just something that you can sense, maybe something like pain, but it is the tip of the iceberg, because to get symptoms in the first place, there are all sorts of unnoticed developments somewhere in the body. And they always start with blood circulation that is impaired, that isn't working properly, and the resulting oxygen shortage then causes energy shortage at cellular level. That energy deficit again causes poorly functioning cellular chemistry, and when that happens, the cells go out of whack. When the cells get out of whack over a longer period of time, this chemical energy called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, becomes chronic, and in the end, more and more cells in a particular organ or piece of tissue are dysfunctioning. And in the end, it could be that the whole organ is dysfunctioning. And then only do we get the symptoms. So do you see how important it is if the body could self-regulate? Not could, it does all the time. Except when we're ill, then it is trying hard to get back to that optimized healthy state again. But if we have all these things going on somewhere in the body, then suddenly we get symptoms. And those symptoms are the same, sorry, not the same, but the symptoms will arise no matter if you got tinnitus, macular degeneration, or arthritis, or diabetes, or whatever. And the whole basis of the BEMER and why you are using it and why it is so effective is that it somehow regenerates, restores, and maintains the body's key physiological regulation parameters, and it does that by means of the microcirculation. Now, Many of you have been at the presentations that I've given all over the country. Um, the whole blood circulatory system is the highway to transport essential goods, and that is the oxygen and the nutrients and the waste products. And you've seen these pictures before. But 75% of that whole system consists of what we call the micro blood vessel network. And just to illustrate, I've drawn there a typical sort of ruler, and 1 millimeter is the difference between two lines. And if you cut that down into 1,000 slices, then we're talking of a thousandth of a millimeter. And the capillaries that are doing the actual exchange of the oxygen and nutrients and waste products go right down to 5,000ths of a millimeter. So basic health then, what is it again? It is vitality. It is to be able to recover quickly. It is able to regenerate when we've had a tough day or from an operation. It means performance, mental and physical. It means maintenance when there's nothing wrong with us, but we want to stay healthy. And it means quality of life if you're a little bit older, if you're in a retirement village or something. You cannot do the things physically that you used to be able to do, but you want quality of life. You know, you're not 20 when you're 80. However, you want quality of life. And that's part of basic health. How do we do that, or how does the body do that? Through self-regulation, as I said just now, because the body is networked. There are many factors involved. That's what makes biology and medicine actually so very, very complex and difficult. Um, the body is an optimized system. It will always strive to give the optimum performance. But the most amazing thing is that it is self-healing, and it has an immune system which keeps the real enemy outside the gate. And the biggest danger of dying for a human being is actually not the big five that we know in South Africa, but it is all these little things that we can't see, viruses and bacteria. And that's what the immune system is there for. So where does all this happen? In the 100 million cells, in the 120,000 kilometer blood circulatory system, of which 75%, that's 90,000 kilometers, consists of capillaries that are in a diameter of about 5,000ths of a millimeter. And 75% of that is microcirculation, as I said. And the supply and removal of waste is very important. The supply of oxygen and nutrients and the waste removal is very important. The energy production in terms of ATP is, of course, absolutely essential. And if that is working, we have, in inverted commas, perfect chemistry in the body. So, nutrition, number one, because we need minerals, proteins, sugars, different types of sugars. There are 20 different types of sugars, by the way. We need exercise for the lungs, for the heart, for the whole vascular system, and the joints. We need water, because water is the universal solvent. Sensible living versus reality. You see, we all know these things that I've said just now. I know it as well. But in the end, we live mostly in cities with a lot of stress, with a lot of malnutrition, with a lot of stress from the environment in terms of the air we breathe, the liquid or the water we drink, impurities in the food even, and artificial colorants, and I don't know what all. How can we still have sensible living in this reality? And that's where the BEMER comes in, and hopefully that is why you purchased the BEMER when you did, because maybe it was an ailment, maybe it is for maintenance, maybe it is for performance in sport, maybe because you're getting on in years and you want quality of life. But we want sensible living, reduce the stress, get enough oxygen, reduce the acidity, which, by the way, gives you the initial bad circumstances at cellular level from the acidity that you get when there isn't enough oxygen at the cellular level. And in the end, you sit with chronic ailments. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. So when it goes out of whack, the impaired blood flow, the poor supply and removal situation, if there's insufficiency of ATP when it is out of whack, the cellular metabolism goes wrong, protein building goes wrong, increased cellular dysfunction, the order of the day, and in the end you sit with chronic ailments. So the BEMER is the revolutionary idea that came from a totally unexpected corner. Why do I say unexpected corner? There have always been people who dabbled with electricity and the influence it has on the body. Even today, when I look outside there in the alternative world, alternative medicine world, there's a lot of stuff that actually just makes a claim without having any proof. And the BEMER is very different because the BEMER also uses an electromagnetic field. It is a DC field and it improves the blood flow. It makes sure that there's excellent oxygen supply when there is oxygen and removal of the waste products. The ATP availability is increased and the cellular metabolism works much better. You will boost the immune system, and in the end, your self-regulation will work so much better. And that is all the BEMER ever does. The BEMER doesn't heal anything. It improves these few things here that I talked about, and that is why you have the successes you have. And if you didn't get a success or you didn't feel you get a success, then we must talk. You must send us emails. We must talk about it. We must find out. Because in general, although we human beings are still subject to a statistical chance that something works or not, on the BEMER that chance is an 80-20, 90-10. I mean, that's pretty high that you will have some relief and success. So the difference on the BEMER is, of course, to medicine, that it is process-based. In other words, you lie on it, your body undergoes a certain process, and the body will then, through self-regulation, sort its problem out, while indication-based means for a particular ailment, you have particular symptoms, here are particular pills or other treatment that will attack those symptoms or suppress them, but that doesn't mean to say the cause of the problem has been recognized. The significant difference is that the BEMER is the only physical vascular therapy available in the world today. And because of its uniqueness, we have a pretty good chance of recommending it to others, because many things that don't work on many people's ailments, the BEMER can make a difference. Not because it is healing those ailments, but because it enables the body to sort out its own problems. And I also called it the physiological regulation therapy for a long time, because that is really what it does. The BEMER assists through the action on the vascular system with the physiological self-regulation. So vasomotion and open capillaries is the detail, oxygen extraction, adenosine triphosphate production and the biosynthesis at cellular level. The lymphatic system will work better. The autonomous nervous system is improved. Immune system is improved. And we can show quite a bit of medical research. There are quite a few user studies under medical supervision. There are a few clinical trials. Remember, the BEMER is not claiming to heal any of the 45,000 ailments that can befall you and me. So if you want clinical trials for each one of those diseases, you'll never get it. User studies under medical supervision could be arranged, but it doesn't really matter. In 1 million applications on this planet daily, if most people have an 80% chance of an improvement, then that is metadata, as they call it, metadata that is valid, much more than a specific clinical trial on one specific ailment. And okay, it's called anecdotal evidence, but so what? Even if you use it every day and you improve, then it's only called anecdotal evidence. But on the other hand, it helped you, right? No, don't care what it is called. Let it be anecdotal, but it's helped me. It is, in a way, preventative medicine. It's used a lot in sport and on animals, as we know.